Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Imagine waking up tomorrow and it's gone. Not just your bank balance, not just the cash in your wallet, but the very concept of money. Every digital record, every coin, every banknote poof utterly valueless, non-existent. No more dollars, euros, yen, or anything in between. What would happen? How would the world as we know it fundamentally change? Would it be a chaotic descent into anarchy, or an unprecedented opportunity for humanity to redefine its values? We've built our entire modern civilization on the bedrock of currency, an abstract agreement that allows us to trade our time, skills, and resources. Without it, the intricate web of global commerce, supply chains, and even personal interactions would instantly unravel. This isn't just a thought experiment about a financial crisis. This is about an existential crisis for the global economy, a complete reset of what we consider valuable and how we survive. Forget inflation or recession. This is the ultimate economic reset button, pressed without warning. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating, terrifying, and utterly unpredictable scenario of what if money simply vanished. The immediate aftermath would be nothing short of pandemonium. Picture the scene. People wake up, check their banking apps, and instead of a number, there's just an error message or perhaps a blank screen. ATMs would become useless slabs of metal. Gas station pumps would sit idle because there's no way to pay for fuel. Grocery store shelves would quickly empty, not because there's no food, but because the transaction mechanism has ceased to exist. Forget credit cards not accepted. It's no medium of exchange accepted, period. The first few hours would be marked by confusion, then growing panic. Stock markets, if they even managed to open, would immediately crash to zero, rendering all companies technically worthless. Global trade would halt, leaving ships stranded in ports, planes grounded. The entire financial system, the invisible hand that guides almost every transaction, would be paralyzed. We'd see a frantic rush on anything perceived as immediately useful: food, water, medicine, tools. Without police and military being paid, law enforcement and national defense structures would rapidly disintegrate. Looting and civil unrest wouldn't be isolated incidents. They'd become the new norm as basic needs take precedence over societal rules. Roads would become battlegrounds for resources, and homes, fortresses. The sheer psychological shock of losing the universal tool we use to measure value, progress, and even security would be devastating. As the dust settled from the initial shockwave, the world would quickly revert to a much older, more direct form of exchange: bartering. If you need food, you'd have to find a farmer willing to trade their crops for something you possess that they value, perhaps your labor, a skill you have, or a physical item. But this isn't as simple as it sounds. The fundamental problem with a pure barter system is the double coincidence of wants. You might have a surplus of apples, but the person who has the tools you need might not want apples. They might want eggs. Now you have to find someone with eggs who wants apples, and then trade with the tool owner. This inefficiency quickly stifles complex economies. Furthermore, how do you value things? Is a doctor's life-saving surgery worth a lifetime supply of vegetables, or just a few days' worth? How do you save for the future? How do you invest? Without a common medium of exchange, the concept of wealth would shift dramatically. It wouldn't be about accumulating money, but accumulating useful resources, skills, and trustworthy relationships. Local communities would become critical, fostering microeconomies based on direct exchange and mutual aid. People with practical skills, carpenters, mechanics, healers, farmers, would become indispensable, far more valuable than a former CEO or a stockbroker. We'd see a dramatic reevaluation of what society truly needs to function, moving away from services based on abstract value and towards essential, tangible production. The vanishing of money would also profoundly impact governance and security. Governments, unable to collect taxes or pay their personnel, would cease to function almost immediately. The police forces, military, and civil service would disband en masse, not out of disloyalty, but out of necessity for their own survival and that of their families. This vacuum of authority would lead to a rapid breakdown of law and order. In its place, we would see the emergence of localized power structures. Warlords or influential community leaders with access to resources or the ability to organize people would rise. These new governments would likely be based on force, charisma, or a genuine desire to protect their immediate community. Security would become a localized, often brutal affair. Access to essential resources, fresh water, fertile land, sustainable energy sources would become the ultimate source of power and conflict. Disputes over territory and resources, previously mediated by law and the state, would now be settled through force or delicate, often fragile, negotiations. The concept of a nation-state, reliant on a centralized economy and a unified currency, would erode, replaced by countless independent, often isolated, communities struggling for self-sufficiency. International relations would become irrelevant. Survival would be the only foreign policy. In the long term, if humanity managed to navigate the initial chaos, society would undergo a fundamental transformation. The focus would shift from growth and accumulation to sustainability and self-reliance. Without the profit motive, innovation would still occur, but driven by practical necessity. How to grow more food, how to generate power, how to protect communities. Research into sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and efficient resource management would become paramount. Education would revolve around practical skills and knowledge crucial for survival, rather than abstract academic pursuits. Our values would be radically recalibrated. Material possessions, once markers of status, would largely lose their meaning, unless they served a direct, functional purpose. Trust, cooperation, and community resilience would become the most valuable social currencies. People would band together for mutual protection and shared labor. We might see the reemergence of localized systems of value, perhaps a return to using precious metals, or a system of labor credits, or even specific, highly desired commodities like preserved food, fresh water, or energy units becoming de facto currencies within specific regions. This new money would likely be tangible, scarce, and universally desired, moving away from the abstract nature of modern fiat currency. It would be a slower, more deliberate, and perhaps more connected way of living, albeit one born from immense hardship. The idea of money vanishing isn't just about economic collapse. It's about a complete societal reset, forcing humanity to confront its most basic needs and redefine what truly holds value. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my YouTube channel for more interesting videos. Could we, as a species, truly thrive in a world where value isn't measured by a number, but by the tangible impact we have on each other's survival?